Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Ted Davies Artistry. My name's Ted Davies, and I'd like to welcome you to a new podcast. We've got a really interesting thing that's happening with Ted Davies Artistry and Glenn B. Fleming in the UK. What if I could tell you that there is a publication that there's no ideology, it's all artwork, no politics, no religion, anything like that in comics. It's called Comics Unlimited. And it is an international publication that I'm partnering up with Glenn with, and we're going to find out a little bit more about it today and the hopes of where this is going to go. And we're starting a podcast to discuss the magazine as well as different options in comics and things that are happening in the history of comics and the things that we grew up with. So we're going to be talking about that. We also we would like to tell you that we're proud affiliates with Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Check out everything that we're doing there on Facebook, and please like and share this. And we are about ready to start. You ready?
Welcome to the Comics Unlimited podcast with your hosts, Glenn B. Fleming and Ted Davies.
And welcome. I'm Ted Davies. I am artist and author, and I run the Ted Davies Artistry channel here. Who's the gentleman next to me?
I'm sure a lot of people already know who I am. I'm Glenn Fleming. I'm a writer, artist, and publisher. I've written many books on different subjects, all of which are on Amazon. I also publish Comics Unlimited, which is what we're talking about today.
Yep, that's right. Woohoo! Okay.
There we have that. Yep. And then we have number one.
Yep, let's see it.
That was the first issue.
Wow. How did it all start? Let's start by telling them how this all came about years ago.
Back in 2007, a couple of friends of mine contacted me. They wanted to put out a magazine similar to, or not similar to, but to equal Comics Journal, which I'm not sure is published now. Mm-hmm. So anyway, they wanted it to be about British comics because British comics are sort of underrated in the scheme of things. They were telling me in terms of world, sales and things. So we put together a magazine. It's called Crikey. That's number one.
Okay.
Crikey is an English word, I think a British word, where you say, where you would to give you a context would be, I won the lottery last week, and somebody would say crikey, that kind of thing.
Steve Irwin was a big proponent of crikey. Crikey. Yeah. You always say that in the field with the alligators or whatever. So.
Yeah, yes, he did. Yeah, because he does. Does he have a magazine?
I don't know.
Crikey, I'm not sure, but yes, he did say that. Yeah, but that's a British term. But then again, most of Australia is British, I would imagine, a lot of it. But anyway, it was a 52-page black and white magazine, and it was all about British comics. And there's some Thunderbirds there and everything. Frank Bellamy, some great artists, some really good articles in there, and lots of fantastic artwork. Now, let me tell you about the cover there. As you can see, though that piece of artwork was done by a friend of ours, and he's depicted most of the British. You've got Thunderbird 2 up here, and all these people, Desperate Down and Dan Dare, and all this. And he drew the cover for us. So nice piece of artwork. We designed it and we got it up there and we put it out. And the first email we got was from DC Thompson. Now, DC Thompson owned just about all the characters like, Little Plum and Dennis the Menace and all these things. And the email said something like, dear crikey people, why have you not asked permission to draw our characters? And we thought, oh, we're dead in the water. We're in court. We're all sorts of stuff, So Brian, my friend who we're doing the magazine with, is the editor. He got in touch with them immediately. I'm not sure whether he actually rang them, but he got in touch with them and was all apologetic on it. But they were great, and they turned into one of the biggest supporters of the magazine.
That's great.
And as the designer of the magazine, they sent to me lots of covers from like 1926, scans of the covers, lots of artwork and lots of different things on these CDs. It was absolutely brilliant. So from being what could have been our downfall,
Yeah,
our
nightmare.
nemesis
Yeah,
that became our champion.
that's
It was,
excellent.
but what happened then was we were bi-monthly, 52 page black and white bi-monthly, and then we got up to issue 7, I think it was, and the other 2 decided that they didn't want to continue. So I had a decision to make, whether to obviously, stop doing it or carry on my own.
Right.
So I just decided to go for it because it was doing so well. I had big plans for it, and so I just carried on, and I made the issue 8 full color. Went for a full color on it. Subscriptions were up, several hundred subscriptions all around the world, and then on issue 11, my cohort Tony Ingram, who's the co-editor on the magazine and Comics Unlimited and article writer, we decided to put it into the mainstream because we came to a point where the subs had sort of leveled out, the sales had leveled out, and it wasn't making any money. But we decided we would either stop or we would continue, but in a bigger format. So I got in touch with a national distributor who were a printer as well in Lincolnshire, which is in the Midlands of England, and went down to see them, and they said they would do it, but I would imagine this is the same in the United States. I don't know. But over here, we have several outlets like W.H. Smith's and all these people. But you have to pay them
in order,
to go into the. So we had to pay something like £2,000 just to put it on the shelf. That's before you. They can't lose, can they? And the distributor, who was the printer as well, they wanted half cover price. The shops wanted the £2,000 up front. So I think the first color issue, which was number 11, which was they wanted a double. They wanted it monthly, and they wanted it twice as big. So I went from 52 page black and white bi-monthly, and in about a week I had to produce an 82 page full color.
Holy cow!
Which I did.
And this is back when?
This is 2011, I think.
Okay, so it's not as bad as what it could have been. It could have been a lot worse. It could have been. I was thinking like in the 90s. You're really trying to make it happen.
Yeah, this is living memory. But
right.
So what we did was we paid all this money. I paid all this money.
Right.
This money up front. So I was about 5 with the print run. Oh, they needed a certain. I think it was 5,000 print run as well because we only had initially we had 1,000 print run black and white. We went to 5,000 full color, twice as big, nearly.
Crazy.
So it cost me about £5,000 before one had been sold.
Okay.
Which is a lot.
That's a lot of cash. That's a lot of cash. And that's 2000 money, early 2000 or
this is 10 years ago.
Okay. So that is a difference.
10, 11 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the magazine went into Borders. We put it into Borders. Borders were, I have to say this, Borders were the cheapest we could afford. W.H. Smith, which is the biggest chain over here, wanted $12,000.
You're kidding.
For them to take the box into their shop.
Wow.
And then they couldn't guarantee that the staff would see that they'd been sold and put it back, put the ones in the back on the shelf. There was none of that. It's crazy.
So anyway,
we put it into Borders, did really well, picked up all over the country. Subscriptions were coming in again. And then so the next one I had to work twice as fast to get 82 pages every month.
Yeah.
And then we put the second one into Borders, which was an even better publication because I thought every issue improved in my opinion.
Well, I'm sure it did.
Then got a phone call that Borders had collapsed.
Yeah. The financial ruin.
Yeah, the thing just wiped out. So we raced down to our local Borders. So we'd seen the number 11, the first one on the shelf.
Yeah.
And we'd seen number 12 on the shelf.
Okay.
Then about a week later, Borders had gone. So we shot down to Borders and all the magazines were gone. All the shelves were gone.
Were you freaking out? You were freaking out.
Well, I didn't get any stock back and I didn't get any of the sales back.
Heartbreaking.
So from my point of view, it was £5,000 down the tube.
Right. And I would think and if you're anything like me, which I think you are, That's a lot of money
It is a
to
lot
have
of money,
out,
yeah.
to have that out, that
Yeah.
in that thing. I want to say good morning to everybody checking in. We have David Houston, Carl, of course, Donna, Eric Hawkins. I've got we're having some issues. I've been looking down on my phone. Facebook's not allowing me to have any type of interaction on the comments. I'm sorry, guys, if it's not coming through. We'll check that on the playback. So, but in any case, sometimes that happens. So just keep going though, Glenn. I know a lot of this backstory, but I want people to really understand, you know, why we're working together now on this. But
yeah. Well, what happened at the end of Crikey was that I'd lost about 8,000 quid at that point.
Yeah.
I got some of it back through money, some sales from some shops, but the ones our shop was just done. Anyway, I had to make a decision, and I made the decision. I said to Tony, I said, I can't afford, 8,000 quid is a lot of money. I can't afford another penny on this. So he was depressed by that, or dejected by that. And I spoke to him over the few weeks, and he said, "Is there no way around it?" I said, "The only way around it that I'm prepared to do is if we go back to a 52-page black and white." So we did that and carried on. So we didn't really skip any kind of time. We still came out on time. We kept it bi-monthly. We went back to bi-monthly and 52 pages. But up to when we got to issue 16, I was starting to lose money again because it wasn't picking up, and I was at the same point as I was when I went for the Borders gig.
Got it.
I either had to stop or I was going to lose money, and I'd already lost 8,000 quid, so I couldn't lose any more money.
Right.
So it ended, and we were both dejected with that because we thought we had something that's unique. I don't know of any other kind of magazine out there. And then a couple of years ago now, I asked Tony if he wanted to pick it up again, but would make it international, more appealing, worldwide type of thing. And he said, yeah. So we did, we produced Comics Unlimited.
Now, how did you know Tony? I was going to ask you that too. I know that
Tony, the other two guys were writing and editing and things like that. Tony wrote in and said he had an idea for an article. Could he submit it? So we said, of course. And it was Nick Fury. It was in the companion magazine, Super Spies.
Okay.
And Secret Agents.
Yeah. Hold on one second. Let me bring that up. This is you got such a wealth of publication history, man. Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
So that is what it says. It's Super Spies and Secret Agent. So what we did on that magazine, which I think is better than Crikey actually, but what we did on that magazine was cover TV shows, film, comics, the whole thing.
Like so pop culture. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got James Bond, Man from U.N.C.L.E. and Nick Fury and stuff like that. And awesome. Tony wrote us it's a fantastic article. Tony goes to see Nick Fury, and he's in a cafe in New York, and there's a guy behind a newspaper with a suspicious bulge in his jacket that looks like a gun and all. It's really good. And well, I won't tell you the end. It was really good.
Don't. But can people pick that up still or no?
They can. Yeah, I think I've got a few copies left. I was thinking of putting it. Yeah. I had reissued this. Yeah. It's on Amazon. There's a reissue. This not this copy. Yeah. This is the original one, but there is a reissue. It is on Amazon now with a lot of this.
And since we're talking about that, while we're talking about this, you can purchase any of the things that we're talking about today, if I'm not mistaken, through Glenn's Amazon site.
I do have old copies of Crikey left, but a couple of years ago, a friend of mine in Scotland produced these fantastic volumes. So this is issue.
Yeah, that was one thing we talked about.
Yeah, I mean, look at the size of that. Look at that. You forgot to put the spine on it, but there you go. Yeah. But there's 200 pages there, and there's 4 volumes of that, and I think he still does them. So if anybody wants to know about that, just get in touch with me, and I'll see what I can do about that.
Absolutely.
But we've got lots of ideas. We had lots of ideas, which are all mine now, I guess, because the other guys aren't doing it. We wanted to do 4 magazines a year, 4 different magazines a year. We wanted to be putting out one a week at one point, but we're getting a bit carried away with ourselves, I think now. Especially with the stuff I have to do on the design part of it. It
Oh,
does take a
sure.
lot,
It's
does take a lot of time.
daunting. It can be daunting. And plus you're doing hats, you're doing all these other things. Kirby book, you got all these things going. Then you're on my shows occasionally and do Truth Mongers and all our show. And it's crazy busy. And it's good, right? But there comes a leveling point. You got to be able to.
Well, I find the design of things, I find it really easy.
Yeah.
Well,
you're an artist. I mean,
it's sort of hard work to put it together because it takes time, but I'm not struggling with it.
Yeah.
With ideas, because I'll see an article and I'll get some artwork from it, and I'll immediately know that piece of artwork should be the spread.
And if anybody's looking at any of these books, I mean, it is. I mean, I've noticed this. Christine's got a background. My wife has got a background in graphic design. I mean, the stuff that you do.
Yeah.
I mean, you're no slouch. I mean, you know what you're doing for placement. I mean, she was like, "Wow, I mean, that looks really awesome." And the obviously the article you wrote about me, but is awesome too. But
it's that, you see, like that fantastic illustration by Gil Kane there.
Oh yeah,
just needed to be its own page.
Yeah,
and it's not a case of making the article longer and putting filler in. It's just to show. I mean, like that Leo Baxendale, one of the great British artists there.
I mean,
look at that.
And this is what spawned my appreciation for what you're doing and why I wanted to get kind of involved in it, because this is what I see is I think that I can bring a perspective from the U.S. market that you and I, we can learn from each other, and that in the UK market, just the way the comics affected us in our lives and in comic books from both sides of the pond. It was very exciting. So I want to welcome Ryan and Damien, by the way. They stopped in too. So sorry.
Yeah, I was thinking of through Comics Limited. I'm thinking what you were talking earlier about the PDF, the side of it. These are rare. They're on eBay. Yeah, and I've got a few copies. Yeah, this is the printed thing. But I was thinking, through Comics Unlimited might run an ad in there to run PDFs of these
absolutely
issues.
Absolutely,
there'd only be a couple of quid or a couple of dollars.
Yep. Ryan's got a pretty good question. First comic you ever read? Mine was Star Wars. I talk about it on my shows quite a bit. Star Wars 1977 #1, 78 #1. Taught me how to read with that comic. How about you? What was your first comic?
It was probably, I can't really remember, but I would imagine it was something like the Beano or the Dandy, one of the British cartoon books,
Yeah, it wasn't a comic book. It was a cartoon book, like Garfield or something, or
same
Beetle Bailey or something that we had.
Yeah, that kind of thing. But it was there were several different stories in there. But I've said this before. When I as an artist growing up, I used to get these comics and I used to pore over them and I was copying them and doing all this kind of thing. But I was never satisfied with this kind of artwork. I was never satisfied with this. Yeah, this was too cartoony. Yeah, and then when I guess another answer, first comic I ever read was, I've said this a lot of times to Ryan there, was Strange Tales 136.
Oh yeah,
the Kirby thing. With John Severin on there.
That probably set you on the path.
That just blew me away, because if you understand what I mean, the people in it are sort of drawn in as real. They're not cartoony. They are cartoons, but you understand what I mean.
Yeah, right.
And I like that kind of style. And then I was just a Kirby fan. I noticed that Kirby did the layouts on that, and then I picked up other issues, Spider-Man and Fantastic Four. I noticed that apart from Steve Ditko, obviously, but Kirby was just doing everything, and I used to follow Thor and all that kind of thing. And I left British comics behind, really, because they weren't giving me what I needed,
Right. Well, the grass is always greener. It's like, some of the stuff overseas, in the French publications, everything like that. Books. I mean, it's crazy and the writing, like in anime, really. I mean, you see it's incredible. The volumes that they produce monthly.
The European market is absolutely incredible. There's a guy called Sir Pieri, and basically it's pornographic. I don't know if you've seen it. It is pornographic. No, but he's and it'll say, you laugh. It's like the old Playboy thing, isn't it? Yeah. The articles are good, but right. His artwork, you want to check it out. His artwork is absolutely beautiful. Yeah, but it is porn.
Well, I mean,
I don't think it's allowed in England. Actually, I don't know anybody's who's got a copy of it. Yeah,
censorship's a dangerous, slippery slope there. Pardon the pun.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ryan. Also, we're gonna give a shout out to Ryan. He's gonna have you on Saturday
Yeah.
on his show.
Yep.
So maybe we can
Looking forward
you
to
guys
that.
can talk a little bit more about Comics Unlimited too in the venture. When did
Mhm.
Comics Unlimited start, so that people know at home?
Well, issue 8 just came out. It's bi-monthly, so last year sometime. I think it was. Was it last year? It was either the beginning of last year, I think it was, or middle of
Yeah.
last year. I can't remember now with all this
Yep.
COVID thing. But that COVID actually affected us because we were doing 100 pages every other month, bi-monthly, 100
Yeah.
pages. And as you've seen, and I'm gonna blow the trumpet on this. It really is a superb magazine.
I agree. I mean, I
And
agree. I wouldn't have spent time or money on it if it wasn't. I mean, these are excellent. I know I've been showcased in it twice, but I don't mean that. But just the quality is it's just excellent. I mean, you've done such a great layout. The other thing too, the articles, they're not just click and paste garbage. You know what I mean?
no, no,
Like
no, no.
it's something that you've actually taken time. You and Tony
Yeah.
have. I
Big
mean,
shout out to Tony.
yeah, big time.
Because
Big time.
writes. He lets me get on with everything else, and I just let him write. That's his
Right.
strength. And because it got to the point at the end of Crikey as well that it was a minor point, but it was there, was that I was spending money and my time promoting other people's work all the
Right.
time because I didn't have time to write anything. So I thought, this is stupid.
This is
I'm
not
paying
right.
out. I'm
Yeah.
paying out all this money, licking all these stamps and sending these things out, and there's nothing of mine is in it, or
Right.
I might have one article in it, So I
And
pulled
that's
back.
and that's you got to have a balance. And I found that too with Ted. And I brought this up. TED Talks I was getting to that point too. At last year. And I don't mind promoting people, absolutely,
Yeah.
but there's got to be a certain balance to it.
Of course, and especially when it's costing you money and that's all you're
time
doing.
and
That's no good. That's no
right.
good.
And I think it does reciprocate, but there's still, and I think that this is what Comics Unlimited. It's one thing about it is it's going to educate a whole nother generation of people on works that might not be available unless it's in what Ryan stated here. Do you think in 50 years it's all going to go digital? I always
No,
think there's going to be a tangible. You're always
always
going to have a
people
book because
tactile. They like to
the
touch things. Yeah,
power goes out every once in a while, and we can't get online or whatever unless we down.
exactly.
But I think that there's always going to be
Well, that's my
always
argument.
paper
That's
goods.
my argument with the digital artwork, but we won't get into that one.
Yes, I agree
You
with
can't
that.
beat a piece of paper and a pencil, or
It-
your finger in mud.
and-
But anyway,
right. So, but
So-
I know that I know the direction that you want to go with Comics Unlimited, and I know that
Yeah.
when we spoke about it before coming on board with it, it was really important that Tony remain doing what he's awesome at.
Yeah.
That was something that because I really the articles I appreciate it so much, being able to read, and they're not like all the way through the book. You can read 4 pages or 3 pages here and there. You can take it. It's a comic size book too.
Yeah.
It's made so that it fits, nicely in plastic and with a backer board. You can save them. I mean, there's a lot of really good things about the size of the book, the publication too. How many pages do you? I know we talked about that a little bit. I'm going to talk. Well, we're still discussing the page count and everything else. But
we're gonna be quarterly to start with.
Yes.
Because we're going to test it to see what's happening, see what we can do with it. So it's probably going to be quarterly. I mean, let me tell you this: when we did Crikey, the day Crikey started, Crikey was issued as a quarterly, and by the end of the day, literally the end of the day when it was in the shops in Forbidden Planet and all these things, I got a call, and we shifted it to bi-monthly on the first day.
Yep.
So hopefully we can achieve something like that. But as for page count, we're probably going to be up there, I would imagine, between 60 and 80 pages. I'm not sure yet. It depends.
Right.
I think 100 pages was very, very
advantageous.
Nice. But that killed me. I've got to put it together.
Right.
I mean, not saying I can't do that, but
right. Well, and that was something too that when we discussed it, because we've been talking about this for months. We want to make sure that it's an affordable, not gateway drug, but a very interesting way to get into comics and to showcase some independence, some
Well,
of the original go-getters that really designed everything.
Don't forget, as I said to you
Yeah.
earlier, in Britain alone, there is 150 years of history of comics. Now, there's got to be the same in America.
Oh,
and
yeah.
There's Japan and Australia. There's everywhere. We will not live long enough to cover it all.
I agree.
And
there's not enough. Yeah, there's not enough digital time. There's not enough time in the day. Yeah.
So therefore, it'll be around forever. So somebody else we will never run out of ideas for articles.
Right. And
that's there's just so many good things.
One of the things we tossed around with both in a digital format and basically we wanted to put together a magazine that you can put out, a loose term magazine, a book,
I
quarterly.
think it is a magazine, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that Amazon was probably the best avenue. I think that you'll be able to, it's on demand. There's a lot of things there. And then we're also going to offer a digital format as well.
It was what happened as well in the sort of evolution of this was that when Tony and I decided to do Comics Unlimited, the biggest point that came about, which I had found because Tony's not on Amazon, things like that, was that they did the on demand. I would not have done it if I had been putting my money in my pocket again, because I just can't afford it. So with it being on demand, they take the bigger chunk, but they always will. I don't have any stock. I don't have to go to the printer and do a press pass, and I don't have to do any of that.
You're global. I mean, there's just 24/7, 365. It's a balance. You're back to, you got to balance it all out. Do you have stock in your studio, or do you have? I mean, I think it's this type of publication. I think it's mandated that we should have it.
Well, when I was doing the black and white version of Crikey, I went up to 2,000 copies. I got two. You imagine, there's 50 in a box. The house was full of boxes.
Yeah, right.
So I had to go to one of these storage places and pay rent on a room.
Yeah, and you're moving stuff, and you got, and it's you can have possible damages. I mean, there's a lot of things.
Well, what happened at the storage as well was that because I had so many and back issues, I had to open up another storage case room. Right. So I was paying for two.
It's ongoing.
It just never ends. I think by now, that's 10 years ago. By now, I think I would have probably filled up the entire warehouse with stuff.
Sure. Well, and it's, we've got a saying here in the States, overhead. I don't know if that's what you call it there, as far as you're in constant turmoil now, because you got to worry about the stock you've got. You got to, I mean, and that's one thing, so that you balance it out. Okay, you're making less with Amazon, but you got it. Here you are. I've had people ask me, hey, but for me, it's different for different publications, for books that I've done. And some of the books you don't use Amazon, but in this format, I think it's ideal. I think it's a very good program for what we're doing.
See, I want to get it into the comic shops. We need a distributor.
Yeah.
Because Diamond are just about
garbage.
Done, aren't they? They're just,
forget it.
And they didn't take Crikey. They were going to take it to start with, but they wanted more than I was. It would have ended up, if I would think I would have been making about 50p per copy.
Yeah.
And it wasn't enough for what I was getting for
everything that you're doing. Yeah, that seems a little bit, and that's any cost and transactions, and that's all proprietary. So, and I think that you even allowing people to know what you were making off that in the past, that's pretty awesome. I know that there was one of the things that you and I both talked about in this is that paying for articles is something that you and we talked about a lot. We discussed it on can we let people in a little bit on that idea? So if it's self-promotion, say for instance that we want to promote an indie creator, there's no payout on that except for exposure, which rightfully so. I mean, we're putting this together. It's going to be a calling card for you as a independent. But as articles come along, as time rolls on, there might be some monetary advancements. And that's what we were looking for. We want to make sure this is advantageous for everybody.
Yeah, because the thing is that obviously I won't mention names, but somebody wanted me to pay them to be interviewed in my magazine to promote them. So,
okay.
no. You know, hopefully in the future, we'll make enough money to pay people for articles, but right now we don't. And if they are,
Right.
and obviously, if you submit an article, it doesn't mean it's going to go in. It's going to have to pass a stringent test,
Right.
and
Right. Curate it
because it's a very good magazine. It's a quality magazine, and by the same stroke, I don't want to malign anybody, but not every indie comic is going to be in it either. It's going to have to. There's going to be certain standards.
There's criteria. Yeah, there's criteria, and
might sound a bit pompous, but that's
no.
that's
And I back that too. I think that we've got to be sensible, and there's plenty of I mean, the internet, you have plenty of forums to post your work on, and there's something that we, and we're limited too on page count. So there's a lot of things that we're, and
exactly.
it is only quarterly right now, so you got to be sensible. Okay, so Damien Walburn says, so question, will Comics Unlimited be available in Comixology? It would be a natural fit.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, I don't see either. I think that would probably be a good move for everybody involved.
Yeah,
I think that's probably
the
next.
We'll try and get it in every outlet we can. Simple as that, really.
Right.
And whether it's a physical copy or an ebook or whatever, a PDF or whatever you call it, it's which is the good thing of talking of Amazon, that they do the on-demand and they do ebooks, because that edition you show there, that my latest edition, with your guy on it, that is available on Amazon as an ebook,
right? And that's a great. I think that's awesome.
And Damien's doing us a big favor by I've sent him the PDFs of all the Comics Unlimited issues, and hopefully he's going to be able to convert those, and they'll be an ebook as well.
Yep. And that'll be, well, it'll happen. And I think that's, these are, what's nice about what we're doing too, is we're trying to, it's grassroots, but it's kind of, it's an established, IP, if you want to call it that. It's an established thing. And that's one thing that interested me, because I believed in the publication. I didn't want to see it go away. I think that there's some definite benefits here that can help people learn about the old comic strips and the old what went into these productions. These people that were doing it.
And what people need to realize as well, and they probably do actually, but is that we're not just throwing this together. I have my work background, 40 years in advertising and creating brochures and all things. That's where my expertise comes in.
Yep.
Or part of my expertise comes in, and I'm a writer and all that, and you're a writer and artist as well. Tony's a fantastic writer. His articles are superb. So it's not as if we don't have an experience of it, and we're all comics fans. We're all comic artwork fans.
Yeah.
We all have our heroes in that way.
I mean, this wasn't thought of over, and there's nothing wrong with business meetings like that, over a pub drink and a weekend. I mean, this is something we've been thinking about for 6 months about. Full disclosure on that, at least. And you guys have already been working together for X amount of time. I mean, you and Tony. So it was a good fit for me too, because I think that there's a lot of things I can offer as well as learn from this experience. So I'm excited about it. Since we're talking about that, advertisements are going to be available for purchase in the book, moderately priced. Full page ads, as far as, and then we can talk about the way it's broken down, half page or what have you. So that's available to you guys too, as an international publication now that you could be part of as if you're a publisher or an artist or a comics artist, comics writer,
comic shop or whatever.
Comic shop, whatever. We can offer that service to you, and it'll be on all the platforms and everything. So there's a lot of really good networking monies to be invested in when you're looking at this publication too. Also, we want to talk about, we're still working out the details, but a subscription package will also be available for people, whether it's in digital format or in the hard copies that you would get quarterly.
Well, we can do both.
I think so. And I think that that's going to be a real nice thing, because once it's paid, you don't have to worry about it. And we're working out the details on that. We're still construction pricing.
It's endless, because I do know that a couple of people who buy it now, they buy a hard copy and they buy the ebook. So
And
You
that
know,
could
they
be
could,
something, maybe maybe it's a twofer. Maybe the
yeah,
subscription will be that.
yeah.
I think that's
I
a
mean,
good way to do it.
they want the physical copy, but sometimes it's not easy to, you know, you might be in the back of the car or something
Sure,
and just get your
sure.
phone out and look at it on there. You
Yep,
know,
you're ready to go. Yep.
it's not the way it goes. So that sort of goes back to Ryan's question about
Hmm.
physical books in 50 years. There will always be physical books
I think so too.
because books are brilliant.
Yep,
Books are the
they
best
are.
thing
They're
that
the
mankind ever did. They're just brilliant
fantastic
books.
technology. It's a great
Yeah,
technology, and it's
yeah.
duplicatable. I mean, it's in hand. It's low tech. I mean, there's so many. Yeah.
You see, I liken it to, like I said to you before about the artwork thing. That I'm a traditional artist. I use a
Mm.
pencil and a paper and a
Yep.
coloured ink or whatever.
Yep.
And lots of people use computers, and that's fantastic. And I do love that. You know, I'm taken
Well,
wrong
we do
sometimes, but
too. I mean, you and I
I don't.
both, we're traditional artists, but we still use computers too. I
Yeah,
mean, we do a lot of digital work, but
yeah.
not to some extent, though.
But I don't do it like other people do it,
Right.
and I'm not decrying what they do. But I always, my ultimate statement to it is that at the end of the day, I've
Yeah.
got a physical piece of artwork to sell.
Yes, exactly. And,
And
to be perfectly honest, my fans want that. They
yeah,
want to have the first off, or the limited edition, whatever pieces that I put together.
I mean,
And that's part of their
just
collection. So, I mean,
just imagine. Excuse me. Just imagine if Leonardo had done the Mona Lisa on a
everything
computer. There'd have been
right,
nothing to
right.
steal, would there?
Right.
So,
Well, and to each their own. I mean, there's so many, whatever medium it is, whether it's pen and ink or oil paints or acrylics, watercolor, whatever,
mhm,
it's art. And that's,
yeah,
I like we said at the beginning of this broadcast, ideology doesn't have a place here. It's about the
no,
art. It's
yeah,
about the art. It's not about
yeah.
race, creed, or whatever. It's about the
You see
art.
that? Yeah. If we get if somebody wants to write an article, like say for example, of Captain
Mhm.
America #1, where Cap's slugging Adolf Hitler,
Yeah.
we can write about that.
Yep.
We can publish that, but we won't be wanting any, you know.
Political
Yeah,
thing.
we
Yeah.
don't we want to
That's
stay.
different.
Everybody's got their own ideas, and that's great.
That's just,
But
yeah,
that doesn't mean that we're going to let them use our magazine as
a
as
platform.
an
That's
output
not the way it's
platform.
going to
Yeah,
work. Yeah.
but you can write about something that's political because there is. I'm going to write an article about the propaganda from the Second World War.
Yeah, I think that's paramount. Yeah. And that's
Because
good because that leads into Kirby totally. So I'm all about
exactly,
that. I'm
and
totally about that. Yeah.
some of the drawings I've seen from we have a paper called the Daily Mirror.
Yeah.
Papers are dying now, but it was Daily
Yeah.
Mirror, and that was a big paper in the Second World War. And some of the drawings in there, I don't know whether I'll get away with it. I might not be able to put them in because they're so they're so sort of racist in a way because they're anti-Nazi or whatever.
Right.
But to write about that is okay, but not to want to wave a swastika about it is not.
Well, right. You're not promoting it. Right.
Yeah.
And you're writing information that
Yeah,
it's transcribed. It's not a promotional thing.
that's right.
And that's important. Yeah.
And you
And
got to
that's
try
what,
and understand. You got to try and understand how the other guy's thinking as well, and
yes.
show it. You know.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks, Pops, for saying that. Smash the like and share the stream. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. If you guys would do that, and if you have done that, thank you. We appreciate that kindly. But yeah, I would use it as a metaphor of, you take your shoes off at the door. It's basically the same with this format. And I think that, and I'm glad that you and I are both. I know what type of people we are, but not everybody might know that. And I think that that's a really profound thing that we're, this is it's a common ground for comics, for the history of comics and the, you know, we're all on this planet. We all have to cohabitate, and that's just
Yeah.
that's the real. That's it. And comics can do that. Comics can bring people together, or it can
Yes.
divide. It's like any literature.
Yeah.
So, and
Y-
that's not what we're here to bring people together. So,
Yeah, and there's a lot of British comics that are out and out racist.
oh yeah, well,
and, you know,
American too, for that
yeah.
matter. I mean,
and that's, I'm going to say it was okay, but it's not okay. But what I'm saying is that what people, going off the topic bit here, but what people tend to do, in my experience, is go off track. You can talk about something, but just because you talk about it doesn't mean that you agree.
embracing it, right?
Yeah,
I agree with that.
you can show it for what it is and how awful it was.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
won't allow. Yeah, this is brilliant. They should create more like this.
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah, and that's anybody in the right state of mind. I mean, that's normal. I just,
Yeah.
we're going to make it as positive as we can and make sure it's it's going to be a learning and an evolution of
Yes.
how things happen, from Will Eisner to Kirby to
Oh,
on and on. I
it's
mean,
endless. I mean, and like I said to you, we've got 150 years.
yeah, Charles Schultz. I can't wait
Yeah,
to talk about
150
Charles
years of
Schultz. And
history of this. I'll
yeah,
tell you a story. Tell you a story.
yeah,
This is, I said to you at the top of the show where the DC Thompson were complained about using their characters.
yeah,
They became such champions of Crikey magazine.
Yeah.
That and I didn't take them up, and it probably because the borders was happening and it was collapsing. But they said to me, they would like me to go up to Dundee in Scotland and interview them all.
Okay.
And they were going to let me into the archive with all the original artwork. And they've got stuff from like 1901 and 1859 and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't go because the stuff was happening. But I'm going to get in touch with them again and hopefully get up there, because the only other person they've ever shown it to, outside people who work there and the owners, is a guy called Jonathan Ross, who's a TV presenter here.
Yeah, you were telling me about him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a big comics fan. And, they let him in, and he did his show, and he's showing that they've got all these boxes with this artwork in.
Yeah,
it's absolutely incredible. I mean, that's a whole issue to me. That trip.
Oh God,
that would be a special.
Yeah,
Comics Limited special.
And that type of, and I think that's important, because I think we have to be stewards of that. I think you and I are in a position now that we have to do that to show people, and we might not know it all either. I mean, there's a lot of things that you and I. Oh, that's not a big deal. But there might be something that we could really shed a light on and say, hey, Michigan, state of Michigan here, university has one of the largest collections of comic books in the country. It's incredible, the whole division that they have here. And I'd love to find out. What's that?
Have they got Hatch in there?
I don't know. Not yet. I'm sure they will, though. Once the forward's done, we'll talk about that. They've got, that might be something interesting. These are, if you guys have something that or somebody that you're connected with that has an archive or anything like that we could interview, that would be dynamite. I would love to eventually get into Michigan State University.
We have our own Dave Houston online here.
Yes, David.
And you've seen his collection, haven't you?
Yes.
Well,
yes.
Dave lives about 30 miles from me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go and see him soon. And I'm going to film it. I'm going to film him and do an interview, and that's going to go in Comics because that's
excellent.
His collection is absolutely.
We need to showcase that here then too, on the video, on video work and everything else, and we can. Yeah, that'll be great. I'm looking forward to that, David. That'll be awesome. That'd be awesome.
See, something I'm interested in. When I write my books, I always try and put a twist on it. I wrote a book about football, but there's a million books about football or soccer. As you would say. Yeah. There's a million books on soccer. So what I did, I wrote a book on the number 10 shirt, and I wrote a book about the 10 people who wore the number 10 shirt in the World Cup. Right, I like to put a spin on things. Like I wrote about the Kennedy assassination.
Yeah.
Well, there's a million books on that. So I wrote a book about the point of view from Lee Oswald,
and it was brilliant. I mean, I've got a copy. It'd be very, very good. And I think that's your power. It's easy enough to write. It's like I will probably make a statement with art, because it's probably the best way I know how to say it. It's easy to do. It's easy to draw what's in front of you.
Yes.
It's harder to draw something that's from the ether.
Yes.
Drawing it from nowhere. And I think that when you're what you do with your writing is a lot like I do that. We look at it from a standpoint of obscurity. I mean, from a point of view that nobody thought of, or not many people thought of. And that's a huge part of you. That's kudos to you, because I think you're a great writer in that respect.
Thank you.
Even the Apollo missions, the guys that didn't make it.
Yeah.
And that's brilliant, right? Why? And then what a testament to the families.
Yeah. And I got to talk to three of the men who walked on the moon with that: Alan Shepard, Gene Cernan, and Charlie Duke.
Yeah. Did you? There was an astronaut that passed away this last week. Did you?
I don't know.
I'll have to find that out. I don't know. Forgot his name. If anybody knows, please put it in the comments.
Well, what I was saying about putting a twist on the story is, a friend of mine lives in Birmingham. He has a comic shop, and he had a friend who was in. I think they're called Oddums. I think they're called one of the publishers down there of comics, and he got a phone call and said that they were moving premises. Now get this, listen to this. They were moving premises, and they were dumping the artwork in skips on the road. And
Wow.
this artwork was Dan Dare, Frank Hampson, Dan Dare from the 50s.
Yeah.
Priceless stuff. Now, that was some of the pieces, but there was hundreds of pages of artwork of comics. Now, the stories I like, not that I like that story, but it's a good story. But the story I like that came out of that, when I talked to Phil, the guy who went down, he went down. He was taking. They were putting it in the skips, and he was taking it out of the skips and putting it in a lorry.
Yeah,
they weren't bothered. He wasn't stealing it. They knew what he was doing, but they didn't want it. They didn't want
He's
it.
Saving it.
He sells it now on conventions.
I mean,
but the story he came up with, the bit of the story that I find interesting, which is the twist, is that there's a story there that he was actually ended up helping them bring it out rather than put it in the skip. They put it in the back of his truck. But the story is this: when he was coming out with a big pile of artwork, and he stubbed his toe. The door was jammed open with a piece of board, and he stubbed his toe, and the door closed. So he had to fix it again. Just pushed under the door, to make it stop it closing. And it was a piece of Frank Hampson Dan Dare artwork, folded up, just to jam the door. Now, to me, that's the story.
Yeah,
and that's what I like. I like that. Like it would have been. I don't know whether that Vartan woman is still alive who said all that artwork was in that thing in New York, the Marvel artwork.
Yeah,
that's the story. What it was like in there.
Yeah,
do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know whether she's still around. I'd like.
I mean that's the meat to the sandwich, man. Yeah. Absolutely. That's it. That's the cheddar. And I think that as artists, I think that we're cursed with that type of viewpoint. I mean, a lot of us we're thrown into into our creative elements, and we look at the world differently. That's it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's our power. That's our superpower. What are your hopes for Comics Unlimited? I know you obviously sales on that, but I think we're on the right direction of what we're going to be doing.
I'd like it to be just what it is, a great comics magazine that is known worldwide. Northern Southern hemispheres, and Australia's a big place, and it's already in New Zealand. We have Michael Mead down there who promotes it and buys it and writes for it and does all this kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So there's obviously a big comics following down in Oz and New Zealand. I'd like to fill that. I'd like to fill North America, South, everywhere, Europe, everywhere. And I'd also like to. It would be great for me to, or for us to fly down to Australia to some convention sometime in the not too distant future.
Once things smooth out.
Imagine that. Imagine if Comics Unlimited was had a place at the Sydney Australia Convention 2024. How good would that be?
Why not?
That would be wonderful, wouldn't it?
Sure. And this is an outlet not just for you and I, but for all of us. So by all means, subscribe. Once we get the pricing up and everything,
I would urge people to use this as well. To use it.
Yes.
Get their ads in there. Get their indies in there or their article. To use this magazine. Because if they can help make it successful, it will be successful for them, because we can either give them promotion or pay them or whatever at some point. That's my goal. I want to pay people for articles.
And that's one thing that before we signed anything, that's what we talked about. We wanted to make it so that it's a learning, it's learning of history of comics, but also the new age, what's happening now, and that if we can offer that to somebody, great. And it's a good platform. It's going to be a wholesome book, true to form, and it's going to be well written, and I know it'll be well received because it already has been. Hopefully, I can put my stamp on it too and help you out. Damien, that's classic.
That's the cheddar. Yeah,
I gotta put that up. That's pretty funny. That's the cheddar. T-shirts available soon from the Comics Unlimited. That's it. That's our hook.
That's it. That's the cheddar.
Yep. Anyway, but and check out our Facebook page too, because Comics Unlimited does have a Facebook page, which you can message us there if you're not familiar with, or on this podcast. You can always make a comment or get a hold of Glenn or myself through our social media contacts.
So what I'd also like to do is
Yeah.
Get this isn't again this is the original one. It has been re-released and it's a little different now.
Yep.
Is to get that moving as well.
Yeah,
I think there's a
that'd
lot of
be awesome.
scope
And
there.
I think that there's a demand for that. I'm a huge
Yeah,
spy fan anyway.
yeah,
007 has a place in our home. Big time. Big time. So yeah, I'm all about that. Okay, so just to recap, we've got probably about a month to get everything worked out price wise,
yep,
page count wise, um, and the subscription costs and that
yeah.
advertising costs and that. Of course, you guys are interested. You can always get a hold of us now. We're going to probably announce something here, I would think, probably by the end of January, so
I
that
think
we
so.
know a
Yeah.
little bit more, and then we'll, where we can, what we can get together. Do you have the Facebook group link
I
by any
can get
chance?
it.
We can just put it in the comments if you can.
Yeah, I'll get it.
Thank you. And then thanks, Damien. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, there's a lot. There's so much that we're going to be doing with this. I'm excited for us. I'm excited for everybody else that's involved, and I'm hoping that it can be a tool that you can learn from as well as promote from. And it was one of the things that when we all sat down and figured out the ins and outs of it, I really think it's just a great marriage.
Yeah,
of both sides of the pond.
Yeah, it's going to be great because I'll have to put this in the private chat. Ted.
Okay, not a problem. And then I'll put it over there. Yep,
There you go.
no problem. Give me 1 sec. Copy that link. Okay.
Yeah, because like I said, there's a lot of there's tons of stuff to go at. There's absolutely tens of thousands of stories and artwork we can show, and
right,
we will never run out of material. And and if we live to be 150 years old, there's going to be the next 150 years of stuff.
Well, and we might, and I know you can search it on the internet and everything else, but we might find something that's so unique that people didn't know about, and that could inspire somebody somewhere as an artist or as an author or whatever. They did it back in the 20s. Hey, this is great. We can, maybe we can work with, whatever. There's so many different facets to where this could go. But I mean, I appreciate you, letting me add my 2 cents into everything, and I to your detriment, your detriment, sometimes. But I appreciate it. Hey Sarah, how you doing? Welcome,
hi, Sarah.
But yeah, like I said, probably by the end of January, beginning of February, we'll have
we'll get something concrete,
some ideas
down
for numbers.
Yeah, and we can see what we can do and
right. And
try
let us know
subscriptions in.
Let us know if you want digital versus if a PDF is better than just let us know. Let us know what your thoughts are on what you guys are looking for advertisements, and if there's like I said, it's a worldwide thing. It's going to be on the internet anyway, but it's also worldwide. There's a worldwide following, so I think that it's a no-brainer. It should just be something that you look into and invest in with us, because I think it's going to be just great. Everybody's going to reap the benefit from it. So
yeah,
I think we're there.
You can't really fail with it if you've got something you want to put in there to promote. Then there's your payment.
Right.
Maybe it's what like I said before. What I want people to do is to use it in a good way, obviously, but then that will have to pass us. But I want them to use it because I think it's a fantastic opportunity.
Yes.
We've got. And as far as I know, and I could be wrong, I usually am, I don't think there's anything else out there like this.
No,
now.
Not to this, and not with the care that's going to go into it and everything else. The care, curating, and the passion that we both have.
Yeah.
For the comic fathers before us, and
the medium,
and mom.
And I'd just like to say here that cover you keep showing of your work is second only to the one behind your head.
Oh, the hatch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I was really happy that this came out so well. I mean, it really, I was really blown away when it came in the mail. It was perfect. And then it was good. It's been very well received. Everybody that's gotten a copy of it that has asked me to sign it and that. Yeah, absolutely. It's been great. It's been great.
Brilliant.
So, thank you. I appreciate you taking time. Hopefully you guys are getting an idea now of the podcast. One thing I was going to suggest to you, Glenn, is that on this podcast, I would like to take, possibly, because I have a stack. I mean, I have a huge collection of old comic books, and I think I'm going to bring out one comic a week when we're on the show and say, hey, maybe you guys remember this one. I don't know. And just kind of,
okay,
kind of fuel the fire a bit. I don't know if you want to do that or not.
It's well documented.
Pick of the week, something like
well
that.
Documented. The greatest comic book ever written and drawn is Fantastic Four number 51.
Yeah, well, yeah.
This Man, This Monster. That's the greatest.
You like
story
that
ever.
one, man. That is your go-to.
If I could have one complete set of artwork, it would be it, huh? Yeah, because it's the main thing about that story is the fact that it's packed between Galactus and the Black Panther. You've got the Galactus trilogy where the world's going to end. Then you've got that one-issue story, and then you've got the Black Panther and all that fantastic characterization that came after that. And it's just that I think it's Kirby's lost work. I know Stan Lee wrote the words, but Jack wrote the book.
Yeah,
it's this, and the artwork, Josh Sinnott inking. Oh, it's
we're getting into one of the second show now. We're getting into the second show, but I'm with you. I understand what you're saying. But I think that if we pull one book off the shelf, kind of that kind of thing, because I've got a lot of Frank Miller and all these other old Frank Miller stuff, long time before he did Sin City, that kind of stuff. I think that'd be a lot of fun. We don't have to do it, but I just thought it'd be a suggestion. But I think
Frank Miller's like Kirby. He's just too good. It just makes me want to throw my pencils in the bin,
right. It's what you don't see that's so powerful in his work. And that's why I feel about Mike Mignola. So whatever. But this is why it's going to be successful, because I know that we're going to be enjoying comics and the comic strips and the history of it all, the history of drawing. I mean, that's it. So thank you guys for stopping in, seeing what we're doing. Please subscribe to what we're doing. That'd be great. And then we'll find out later this month. Next week we'll be on, though, 10 o'clock on Thursdays. Check out what we're doing. We'll have another jam-packed hour of comics discussion and what's going on in a common ground of what we're doing. So thank you, Glenn. I appreciate your time, bro.
Thanks for doing this with me. It's been great.
My pleasure. So, and let's see, we've got we'll end on the intro again. Does that sound good? Thanks again, guys. Have a great week. Read some comics. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Comics Unlimited podcast with your hosts, Glenn B. Fleming and Ted Davies.